10 Best Picks presents the top 10 best cameras for vlogging. Starting at number 10. Canon Vixia Mini X digital camcorders are admittedly more boring than digital cameras. Digital cameras have more flexibility because they have video recording features too, while digital camcorders can come in different sizes but have similar form factors. There are times when some camcorder manufacturers innovate, but it isn't often because the number of people that need these types of gadgets is decreasing. The key to survival is giving the small audience exactly what they need and fulfill these needs far better than the competition. Canon is doing this with their Vixia series, but last 2013, they also added a completely new product called the Canon Vixia Mini. It wasn't perfect, but it did get a lot of attention with its unique look and interesting features focused on a very specific crowd. The following year, Canon released the more refined Canon Vixia Mini X. Canon describes the Vixia Mini X as a pocket-sized camcorder, and it is apparent when you take it out of the box. It doesn't look like an average camcorder at all, as it is flat, compact and a bit bigger than those camera battery chargers. It has a 2.7-inch capacitive touch display facing upwards, and it pops out so you can tilt it at an angle and optionally flip it to face the opposite direction. The bottom of the camcorder has a small pop-up stand so you can set it up on a table and have the camera look directly at your face. This setup makes the target audience a bit more obvious. It is a camcorder for the vlogging community. You can think of it as an advanced webcam because it has Canon's Vixia technologies and a nice 4:3 aspect ratio screen so you can look at yourself while doing your video recording. With the Canon Vixia Mini X targeting video bloggers, it likely won't be the camera that you will carry around with you wherever you go, but nothing should stop you from doing that. The Vixia Mini X can be used as a traditional compact camcorder too, and the included hand strap proves just that. You might look a little bit weird recording stuff outdoors, but the controls are properly positioned at the sides for easy access. There is even a tripod mount on the bottom if you wish to do more stable recording. Canon didn't change the design of the original Vixia Mini, making the Vixia Mini X all about refinements and under-the-hood improvements. At number 9. Sony Alpha A6500. The Sony A6500 is the company's top-tier APS-C mirrorless model, a 24MP stills and video camera with image stabilization. It sits above the similar-looking A6300 in Sony's lineup, adding touchscreen capability and stabilization for enthusiasts willing to dig a little deeper into their pockets. As should be apparent, many of its core specifications are shared with the A6300 itself at Preview Gold-winning camera. The biggest differences are the touchscreen, the image stabilization and a front-end LSI to allow faster and more complex processing. There are also a few small tweaks, such as the addition of a highlight spot metering mode. This change to the menu and the addition of a quick way of setting AF point immediately address two of our biggest frustrations with the A6300. However, Sony is making no claims about improvements in terms either of rolling shutter or of recording longevity. With the most recent firmware, the A6300 can often record 4K video for the full 29:59 duration that the camera allows, but this is not always possible in warm conditions or if you've just shot a long clip. Sony only claims about 20 minutes of 4K recording for both cameras. Despite being positioned significantly further up the market, the A6500 uses the same form factor as both the mid-range A6300 and the entry-level A6000. Although all three cameras have two control dials, they are arranged so that both must be controlled using the thumb and, for many people, requiring the hand to be repositioned when switching from one to the other. Such a limitation is reasonable at the A6000 end of the market, but seems an odd fit for a $1,400 camera. The other similarity with the 6300 that seems even more odd at this level is Sony's decision to only offer lossy compressed RAW, limiting their processing latitude. Number 8 of my list. Canon PowerShot digital camera. A lovable if limited device, in terms of image quality, the Canon PowerShot zoom literally puts a 100mm, 400mm and 800mm lens in your pocket. The resulting images and video obviously have compromised fidelity, but you probably wouldn't even be able to take those images and video otherwise. Ideal for birdwatchers, plane and train spotters, walkers and ramblers who always wish they had something to snap that bird or plane in the distance, and a fascinating gadget for photographers who occasionally want more reach than their camera or phone can provide. The Canon PowerShot zoom is something completely different from Canon. Remember when this was the company that always played it safe and never took any risks? Now it's a company that releases groundbreaking 8K cameras like the Canon EOS R5, crazy conceptual carabiner cameras like the Canon Ivy Rec, and pocket monocular cameras like the Zoom. Technically it's a compact, and, in its way, it's the best compact camera you'll ever own, because you won't just throw it in a bag or glove box and forget to use it when you go on a trip. It's a telephoto camera that you can keep in your pocket or around your neck anywhere you go, so you can snap that squirrel while you're out on your morning walk, or photograph that bird you sometimes see when you walk your dog in the evening. Given that image quality is all about light capture, the best way of making the most of a large sensor is to mate it with a bright lens. One of the things that helped the RX103 earn its gold award was the inclusion of an f1.8 zoom, which meant the camera maintained much more of its large sensor advantage as you zoomed in. However, this speed boost came at the cost of the lens range, with Sony restricting the zoom to a 24 to 70mm equivalent range to keep the camera small. Consequently, it's interesting to see Canon fit a 24 to 100mm equivalent lens into the G7X while also offering a f1.8 maximum aperture range. And, to paraphrase some hateful web phrasing, we looked at the aperture progression of the G7X and you won't believe what happened next. Coming at number 7. Canon EOS Rebel T6 ISLR. While the latest entry in Canon's mid-range consumer DSLR lineup doesn't inspire much excitement, that's not really the point of the EOS Rebel T6i. It remains a reliable option for people looking for a functional camera capable of handling pet photography, kids' soccer games and vacation snapshots. In photo quality it doesn't compare favorably with competitors, but unless you make side-by-side comparisons you probably won't notice or care. It's faster than previous models, both for viewfinder and back display shooting, and gains Wi-Fi connectivity, both of which make it more attractive than its predecessor and worth a look if you're thinking of upgrading from an older model. Though they have notably different body designs, the T6i 750D and its more expensive sibling the T6's 760D are ultimately only slightly different. The T6's controls and layout are designed to appeal to a higher-end photographer, with advanced conventions like a top-status LCD, lockable mode dial and a lockable control dial on the back, with hopefully less cheap-feeling buttons. Canon finally ramped up the performance on the Rebel, including an increase to 19 autofocus areas from 9, and now it's quite good. While it takes a surprisingly long time to power on, focus and shoot, 0.9 seconds, it's competitively fast for everything else. It takes 0.3 seconds to focus and shoot in both bright and dim light, though in darker conditions, it takes a lot longer to focus. It also takes 0.3 seconds for 2 sequential JPEG or RAW shots. 2 sequential shots with flash increases to 1.2 seconds. It can sustain a burst of more than 30 JPEGs at 5 frames per second, and I found the in-focus hit rate is good enough for typical kids and pets photographers. The raw continuous shooting is a little more disappointing. It's really fast for 6 shots, 6 FPS, and then tanks down to about 2.4 FPS. However, you can continue shooting at that slower speed for more than 30 shots. It doesn't simply stop. At number 6. Yi 4K Action and Sports Camera. This well-constructed POV cam has the same 4K 30fps video and 12MP stills capabilities as a GoPro HER05 Black, yet has a bigger touchscreen and a lower price. There's no voice control, but aside from that the Yi 4K is a polished performer and terrific value. Everyone knows that GoPro makes the best action cams for extreme sports enthusiasts, and that the GoPro HER05 Black is what everyone's using to shoot 4K at 30fps. Everyone, that is, except Yi, which is tackling GoPro head-on by matching a lot of the specs of its rival. Ultra-detailed 4K at 30fps and smooth 1080p at 120fps? Yup. 12 megapixel stills? Check. And, at around it's almost half the price of a GoPro HERO5 Black. Has the Xiaomi-backed Yi done the impossible with the simply named Yi 4K action camera? With a touchscreen user interface, one-button control, Wi-Fi direct for connecting to a Yi Action phone app, and plenty of video resolution options all the way up to 4K at 30 FPS, the Yi 4K action camera is an appealing all-rounder. The fixed lens offers a wide field of view and a fast f2.8 aperture, and you can also take photos while recording video, queue up 4K time-lapses and slow-motion sequences, and loop record for a specified time. Manual adjustment options are exhaustive, but it's generally easier to ignore most of those and just go with the default settings. For more information and price, check out the product links in description underneath the video. Halfway of my listed number 5. Canon PowerShot S120. Canon S120 provides faster performance with 1080p recording capabilities at 60 fps, whereas stills can be captured at 12 MP. Users will be able to get easy access to settings for adjustment of ISO, white balance, self-timer, drive mode and metering pattern. There are just a few controls on the S120's body, but adjusting oft-used shooting settings is pretty straightforward. Up top are the standard power button, zoom rocker, shutter release, and mode dial. On the rear you'll find a control wheel that doubles as a 4-way controller. Directional presses activate macro shooting mode, adjust exposure compensation and flash output, and toggle the amount of information shown on the rear display. There's also a movie button and the standard playback and menu controls. At the center of the control dial is the function set button. Pressing this activates an on-screen overlay menu that provides access to the shooting settings. ISO, the metering pattern, white balance, the drive mode and self-timer, file format, and the internal neutral density filter. One other control on the rear, the ring function button, adjusts the behavior of the front control ring that surrounds the lens. By default it adjusts aperture or shutter speed depending on the selected mode, but it can also be configured to change the ISO, adjust the zoom or focus of the lens, apply exposure compensation, adjust white balance, or perform more esoteric adjustments. There's a wealth of customizability there, much like the similar ring found on the Sony RX100 and RX100 II. Coming in at number 4 of my list. Canon PowerShot ELPH. PH350HS is rated as one of the best budget-friendly camera unit for bloggers, but you have to make some sacrifices for low-light performance. Professionals rate it microphone placed as one of the best quality because it helps in rich audio signal recording. Also, your image will not become shaky, even if you are recording at tough locations. The Canon 360 doesn't include a viewfinder, so you'll need to use the LCD screen to frame all photos. Canon gave the PowerShot ELPH a 3.0-inch screen of above-average quality with 461,000 pixels of resolution. It would have been helpful to have a touchscreen LCD for the inexperienced photographers at which Canon has aimed the ELPH, but this camera's display screen has no touch or tilting capabilities. Moreover, its 3-inch LCD screen size may be disappointing to some since it's not tiltable like that of the Nikon Coolpix B500, and it'll have to substitute for the lack of a viewfinder. Canon squeezed 22 megapixels onto a 3-inch image sensor with the ELPH, meaning this model has more resolution than many inexpensive cameras. For example, a Canon PowerShot ELPH shows that older camera has 16.1 MP of resolution. But the ELPH360's image sensor is very small in terms of physical size, equal to the older ELPH320, which limits the overall image quality for the ELPH360. The small image sensor's problems are noticeable primarily in poor lighting conditions. If you're shooting outdoors with plenty of light, the Canon PowerShot ELPH360 will produce pleasing images that are sharply focused and vibrantly colored. As with most entry-level cameras, Canon did not include any ability to shoot in the raw image format with this model, JPEG only. By using its CMOS sensor with the Digic 4 Plus image processor together, this camera overall takes good quality photos, especially in low lighting conditions. One of the reasons this camera is able to perform quickly in adequate outdoor lighting is because of the above-average autofocus feature Canon provided. When the light in the scene is strong, the PowerShot ELPH autofocus mechanism is fast and accurate, especially compared to other point-and-shoot cameras. At number 3. Apple iPhone X256. iPhone X is well known for camera upgrades like dual 12MP cameras, 2x optical zoom and TrueDepth camera that make image quality stunning. The color-rich screen along with feature-rich module makes it best choice for vlogging needs. And longest battery life is something that was not even delivered by any of its predecessors. The first thing you'll notice about the new iPhone is hard to miss. The new screen blazes into your eyes the second you pick up the handset. The 5.8-inch OLED display is, quite simply, the best thing Apple has ever crammed into an iPhone, or it was, until the iPhone XS arrived. It's leaps ahead of the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus for so many reasons: the sharpness, the quality, the fact that it fills the whole front of the phone, and the color reproduction. It's also using a new, longer screen, but while it looks larger than the iPhone 8 Plus's 5.5-inch display on paper, it's only marginally bigger in terms of actual screen real estate. It's just stretched upwards, so it's taller, not wider. It's not the sharpest or most colorful screen on a smartphone, but it's clean, crisp and doesn't suffer from terrible color shifts when you move it around. It's a great display to look at from all angles, and that's what you want on a mobile device. It's also been dubbed the best in the world by the esteemed DisplayMate testing, showing that it's the brightest and more color-accurate OLED on the market and good off-center brightness shifts, showing Apple can tune the tech from Samsung really well. For more information and price, check out the product links in description underneath the video. Coming at number 2, Google Pixel 2 64GB. Best thing to know about Google Pixel 2 is its 4K recording capabilities that work at 30 FPS frame rate and 9 megapixel for selfie. You will get a lovely exposure to colors with every click and saturation is completely fine. Professionals can hit perfect combination of size, portability and video as well as still quality. Google Pixel comes with pre-installed Google Assistant and Pixel Launcher service. The differences between the two phones come down to price, size, bezel width and screen technology. The Pixel 2 XL has a bigger 6-inch display and a higher resolution than the 5-inch Pixel 2. It also uses a plastic OLED display, while the Pixel 2 has a more traditional AMOLED screen. Other than this, the phones are the same including their hardware and software features. There have been reported issues about the display on the Pixel 2 XL though. One is screen burn-in, wherein remnants of images remain on the screen despite not being actively displayed. Screen burn-in does happen on different types of displays, but usually after some time. The fact that it's happening on such a premium and expensive phone so soon is a red flag. Google issued a statement saying that the Pixel 2 XL's burn-in issue was in line with that of other premium smartphones and should not affect the normal, day-to-day user experience. The company promises ongoing software updates starting in the next few weeks that will optimize the phone against burn-in and extended both the Pixel 2 and Pixel 2 XL's warranty to 2 years. And number 1. Huawei P20 EML L29 Lira. You can't deny that Huawei usually provide you high-quality products with a reasonable purse. Its latest P20 Pro can be regarded as the best camera phone in Android market, even in the whole smartphone market. 40MP rear camera with 3x optical zoom and 24MP front camera, big 4000 mAh battery, 6.1-inch AMOLED display, about $999. If you are serious about the photo-video quality, Huawei P20 Pro should be one of your best choices. The FHD Plus display on the Huawei P20 really does it proud. At 5.8 inches, it's a good compromise between a smaller phone and a phablet, while not feeling large in the hand because of the slim bezels and the notch. Before anyone gets up in arms about it, the notch on the P20 is probably the least annoying we've seen. Huawei has smartly included a software option that blacks out the rest of the screen on either side, effectively removing the notch. So whether you'd prefer the extra screen space or a more uniform look, this phone has you covered, and you might find you don't make the choice you expected. This phone actually converted us from a notch naysayer. We just needed the option to turn it on and off until we worked out which we prefer. Whichever way you lean, it's definitely good to have options. The rounded metal edges of the P20 have a light pink finish to them on our unit, with the SIM tray on the top left, volume rocker and power key on the right, and 2 sets of drilled holes plus the centered USB-C port on the bottom edge. That's right, no headphone jack. Sorry. For more information and price, check out the product links in description underneath the video. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe my channel, share this video and hit the like button.